we're just going to ignore what happened earlier today. That's for another video. For a while now, World Athletics has teased the idea of a new long jump board, which would entirely change how the event works. And last weekend in Dusseldorf, Germany, they had their very first test at a professional level competition, going from the current 20cm board where you're measured from a set point to a 40cm takeoff zone where they measure from your takeoff point, as long as you were inside the zone, that is. And the results of this competition were nothing to yap about. It's plain in the background if you needed that pointed out. None of the jumpers PB'd or even jumped further than they had the other week. So ironically for once, results aren't the focus. Today, it's about the ridiculous controversy of the change itself. So first we've got to address, why is this happening? The official reasoning for the proposed changes are slightly muddy, but as is quoted by World Athletics, it's to reduce foul jumps and enhance excitement and fairness for the athletes, while also providing a more thrilling spectacle, which is just a lot of word padding and a nice way of them saying, we don't think long jumpers are jumping far enough, so we're going to make the event easier. And while they're not entirely wrong, as long jump is in the largest competitive slump of any event in the sport right now, I mean, just look at the last 15 years. We've seen one all-time top 10 jumper emerge between both the men's and women's side. Regardless, this is not the way to solve the issue of a stagnant event. By changing the fundamentals to make it easier, you'll just piss off the athletes, and that's exactly what's happened. Almost every long jumper, past and present, has had a say, protesting the board, or just plain boycotting any competition involving it. The closest to positive feedback is some jumpers being open-minded enough to at least test the board. It removes the skill aspect of the event, it makes the event even harder to watch and follow. Now you can't even tell which jump is further solely by distance they've jumped from the board. It also voids older world records and will forever doom the legitimacy of any future big jumps. And those were majority of the comments, as well as previously mentioned boycotts and also nuclear level threats from athletes, i.e. the world and Olympic champion Tentoglo threatening to become a triple jumper if they go through with the change. And honestly, the athletes have done it right. When a governing body of a sport is seriously proposing changes this drastic, you have to be ready to fight back, or they will simply force their will upon you. So purely based off large amounts of negative feedback already, I don't think World Athletics is winning this one. Even if the testing is in its infancy, this change will most likely not happen. They could just go full dictator on this one. And I haven't said it clearly yet, but this specific change to the board shouldn't happen. I don't agree with it. The action of doing the long jump, I think, is perfect. It's simple in concept, but extremely difficult to do well, let alone master. And in my extremely professional opinion, their entire mission statement just sounds disingenuous. Enhance excitement and fairness for the athletes while also providing a more thrilling spectacle. None of this makes any sense with the changes they're proposing. Removing the brutal difficulty of the long jump reduces the chances of upsets. It reduces clutch jumps. It reduces the chances of those massive fouls happening that become what-if moments. Debatably, these what-if moments are some of the most viralized moments in sports. Just kidding, it's not a debate at all. The most viewed long jump videos of all time isn't Carl Lewis's and Mike Powell's epic world record showdown, the greatest long jumping competition of all time, or even Bob Beeman's historic leap that turned him into a household name. The most viewed videos are those huge foul jumps that we never got an answer to how far they actually went. People simply eat up controversy and mystery. And then there's the fact, in what way does this make it any fairer? Fairer for the less skilled athlete? Okay, maybe that's kind of true. But that's simply changing the event for the wrong reason. You remove the difficulty of this event, and the athletes are right. You remove what makes this event any bit exciting to watch. Sports will always have high and low points. That's the nature of athletes aging, leaving the sport, and making way for a new generation to fill their shoes, for better or worse. Also, just think about this for a second. The amount of tech needed to enforce this takeoff zone globally is ridiculous. Sensors to measure from takeoff reliably, slow-mo cameras, even a Wi-Fi connection at your local track is sometimes too much to ask. That'd be completely pricing out and alienating amateur competition, which is a huge part of track and field. So what is the solution? I don't think there is a solution to the distance problem. Jumpers who will challenge the event will come eventually. But if anything, testing different competition formats is a safer bet than messing with something as fundamental as the takeoff board. An example that works already is the elimination/battle royale style format like the high jump or pole vault. They're simple to follow and always thrilling to compete in and watch no matter the level. The long jump already cuts the field to a final 6 after the first 3 attempts in a final. What if, with this final 6, we continue eliminating the lowest placed jumper in each consecutive round? Meaning at the end, the final competitor has won the competition in 8 jumps and is clearly the last man standing. It's a very rough and far from perfect concept, clearly, but I'm just one slightly too obsessed fan spitballing. World Athletics is disillusioned with what makes an event interesting. Yes, world records and big jumps help, but that comes and goes naturally. It's the fact that during this weak era, the competition format and the way it's displayed struggles to keep the event entertaining. Like much of field events in person, it's a bit of a dull watching experience, unless you're genuinely just there to appreciate the athletic efforts of these monsters. But otherwise, it's simply people taking turns, you struggle to keep track of what's going on, and find out who wins later. And World Athletics is aware of this issue. They stated in this article that they're looking into more efficient ways of displaying results and updated leader information to the in-person crowd. Similar to the at-home watching experience, we are always aware of attempts, distances, and placings through a neat on-screen graphic. How they actually achieve that in person, it seems kind of like an impossible task. So what do you think of the attempted board change? Are the athletes and me just being big crybabies? I can at least admit I'm glad World Athletics is being proactive and testing new things. It's a statement that they're earnestly attempting to improve the sport, even if they miss the mark most of the time. Appreciate it if you made it to the end. I'll be unpacking Ingebrigtsen's world record and the results of the following weekend in a video probably in a couple days.